Good morning, and welcome to everyone to the meeting of the City of Rehoboth Beach, City of Lewes, and now the Delaware River and Bay Authority Police Accountability Meeting. If we could just begin with just our roll call of signify who's present. My name is Dan Zackham. Welcome to everyone.
Chris White.
Eddie Giussino.
Kim Lacey.
Dan DeSimone.
Thank you all, and as our next order of business, welcome to...
Mary online.
Oh, Mary online. I've already...
Mary good.
Mary, I'm
Online.
so sorry. I've already missed you.
No worries.
And we'd like to start first by welcoming our newest member, Chris White, to our meeting. Chris, glad to have you. And before we proceed further, I'd like to defer to Mary to lead us all in a brief moment of silence, if she would.
Thank you, Dan. Before we begin our meeting today, we pause to honor the life and service of Corporal Matthew Ty Snook of the Delaware State Police, who was tragically killed in the line of duty this past December. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones and to his colleagues who continue to mourn the loss of a respected officer and friend. Corporal Snook chose a profession rooted in service to others, and his passing reminds us of the dedication and courage required each day by those who protect and serve our communities. Please join me now in a moment of silence to honor the memory of Corporal Matthew Ty Snook. We hold his family and his fellow officers in our thoughts and prayers as they face the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Now I'll turn over to my fellow committee members if there's anyone who has any announcements they'd like to make before we proceed to our next order of business. Anything? If we can now move on to approval of the agenda today, I will make a motion to approve today's agenda. Is that motion seconded?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we can move on to the approval of our past minutes. Before moving on to that, I would just like to make just a personal observation. Obviously, I don't speak on behalf of the committee as a whole, but at our last meeting, when we took up the issue of welcoming our colleagues from the Delaware River and Bay Authority, we had some discussion with regard to whether or not the Police Officer and Standard and Training Commission would require us to expand our board membership to include perhaps residents of Newcastle County or other places, because DRBA's jurisdiction is so broad and so diverse. And we were assured that that was not going to be the case, and that we would not be required to expand by 2 or 3 additional members to encompass those jurisdictions. And I just wanted to just express that that was part of my understanding at the time we had the discussion when we were last together on this issue. And subsequently, in informal discussions, that understanding has been confirmed through Mr. Moriarty at Post, and so we're good on that. I just wanted to make that observation with regard to our minutes. And with that observation, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of our past meeting.
I have one correction. Camp is all capitalized, and so that's under G, reports of committees. Camp Rehoboth, just for future reference if anyone has it in the minutes.
Thank you, Kim. And with that addendum, I'll make a motion to approve our minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Our minutes are approved.
If I may, Mr.
Yes, Chief.
Chairperson, you brought up something after a minute, so I think it's appropriate now after the minutes were approved, but you said not having to expand the board as it currently sits by 2. However, there should be a shakeup because we're going to need at least 2 members from each department. So somebody's going to have to go.
Yes,
So at some point, that decision's got to be made probably sooner rather than later.
no, absolutely, and we've already attended to that. Thank you, Chief. Both our fellow board members, Chris White and Dan DeSimone, have agreed to serve as representatives of DRBA on our committee. So we do have 2 designated persons to that department. Does that answer your concern?
Yes, thank you. So we just need that, so the minutes reflect that for our next one, but I will make the changes in our correspondence and all, in the voting members, because that's part of what we have to report to post is who's representing who.
Very well. Yeah,
I guess I would refer to, are you 2 okay with that?
No objections? Yep.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks, Chief. On our first order of old business, we have, present tense, a pending application, and I surely hope I pronounce her name properly, Ms. Kathleen Barreau-Chmielewski, an application to become a member of the board. And she would like to address the board with regard to her application, but unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. And she has graciously agreed to postpone her appearance until our next meeting, I believe, is in April. So Ms. Barreau-Chmielewski will be attending that meeting and will address the board, and we can take up the matter of her application at that time. Is there any questions or concerns with regard to that? Okay, moving on to new business. We're happy to have today returning to visit us, Lieutenant Jason Lamora and Lieutenant Colonel, to address us and help us to learn more about your department and your very diverse and broad jurisdiction and responsibilities. And welcome. And if you could introduce yourself for the record and educate us a little bit, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and I appreciate members of the committee and Mr. Chairperson the opportunity to speak a little bit. This is my first time in front of you also. On behalf of Colonel McFadden, I thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Lieutenant Colonel Chris Field. I've been with the DRBA Police Department for about 23 years now. So I understand what had happened before previously, as Lieutenant Lamora went over a couple things about our police department, our history, our mission, our statement, what our core focus are, our core competencies. My intent is to not go over that. I understand he represented that really well, that overview. We now have an opportunity, as 2025 is behind us, to just kind of do a quick recap, and I thought it'd be beneficial for the members of the board to just understand some of those, a little bit of the statistics. So, can I get your help to pass these out? A couple down there. What Lieutenant Lamora is passing is
Thank you.
a 10,000-foot view of some of the enforcement activities, our activity summary. For our police department. So one of my goals today was to just discuss this and then answer any pertinent questions. So we are, as Lieutenant Lamora mentioned last month, we are an accredited agency. These annual enforcement activity reports are something that are generated monthly. So what we've passed out is the annual summary. So this does reflect the entire police department, which again represents all 4 of our troops. And we'll get into specific Troop 3 and Sussex County matters next. So on just a high level, we have noted here our overall arrest and traffic enforcement, but most importantly here, our aid to our motorists, where a bulk of the activity comes from our headquarters, Troop 1. Our aid to our motorists are very, very important. And then also traffic collisions, the highway safety, another one of our key competencies to reduce traffic collisions. So again, I want to focus a little bit more now on Sussex County. So on page 2, we had broke down our Troop 3 Lewes troop and our calls for service. I'm not going to go over each one individually, but I did want to highlight some of the more prominent ones. Our mission for our ferry troops shifts from that of traffic enforcement or collisions to that of security, homeland security, and MARSEC compliance when it comes to Coast Guard. We also have a strong community emphasis, as Lieutenant Moore discussed last month, and those specific activities are not noted in here. These are more calls for service and what's reflected in our computer-aided dispatch system. So a couple ones I just want to highlight here are MARSEC security checks. Those are specific checks that are required by MARSEC on a pretty much a daily basis. And these also dovetail into with our security checks that you see later down that are close to 1,500 there that have been counted. So again, reiterating the security emphasis. You also see foot passenger screening. So Lieutenant Lamora and as well as Lieutenant Shiki on the Cape May side coordinate vessel coverage. So vessel coverage, making sure that those customers who are traveling on the ferry are kept safe. They assist the boat crews with their responsibilities as it pertains to any emergencies that might arise, their drills, and so on and so forth. So the foot passenger screening is keeping things secure before those customers even get onto the ferry. So weapons detection system that we had implemented last year and keeping those customers, the foot passengers traveling on. So that's the foot passenger screening. Another big emphasis we have is our K-9, whether it be the scans that they do, the searches. This troop has 3 K-9s that are assigned, so they're doing screening of vehicles in the parking lot, as well as if there's any unattended bags, any suspicious items that they may have. So you see a conglomerate of those items right there. So this really represents Troop 3's key calls for service. Is there any particular, if there's any questions before moving on to page 3? Sir?
Thank you for the stats, by the way. It takes a lot of work to keep these things together, right? Question regarding your foot passenger screening and security check. If someone has permit to be a concealed carrier, how do you handle that?
So that is communicated to our officers usually in advance. We do encounter that periodically.
Yeah, if it depends, because New Jersey, if they're on the Delaware side going to New Jersey, you pretty much can't have one. 99.9% of people don't have a concealed carry permit. So that's typically who comes in the ferry. And it doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while. So we'll just tell them like, hey, you're going to New Jersey. Thank you for telling us you have a weapon. We check their credentials, make sure everything looks legit, and then typically we have them go secure it in their vehicle. That's typically how we handle that.
We do have off-duty police that travel as well. So those ones would, if anything, would be a force multiplier. So we would communicate with them so we know they could be of assistance in the event that there was a critical incident.
Thank you.
And from my experience, everybody that comes up there and sees this system, they're telling us. If it's a police officer, they're like, hey, just want to let you know, here's my ID I'm carrying. Okay, you're good, thank you. And it's good to put a face to that person should other officer need backup. So that actually, like the Lieutenant Colonel said, it's a force multiplier when that happens.
I have a question. Since you work with Homeland Security, or you're doing this on behalf of Homeland Security, are you getting any direction regarding immigration checks?
So we are briefed in those as part of other, I was just on a Homeland Security committee meeting the other day. We're situationally aware of that, although we, DRB, have not had any direct interaction with that.
Great.
That I can speak of.
No,
Yeah.
not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, if there's no further questions on that, I'll go to page 3.
Thank you.
So page 3 is our professional standards as well as required by post. This is something that is available and has been published to our website. This is hot off the press. I just wanted to share with everybody as well. So our professional standards is based at our headquarters at Troop 1. These statistics are not specific to just any one troop. This is the entire department. So we do have a lieutenant that's assigned to professional standards as part of that unit that handles citizen complaint investigations as well as administrative investigations. So To my knowledge, I spoke with Lieutenant Weaver before coming down here. None of these interactions, even the one that was sustained, for example, for rules and regulations, dealt with anything for any officers that were involved at Troop 3. So this would have been other troops for that particular one.
And Lieutenant Colonel, are these investigations, I'm assuming at least some of them are internally generated?
Absolutely. So the bottom half there, the administrative investigative summary, so there are 3 investigations. Those were for rules and regulations. Maybe a supervisor notified, saw something, and it was referred to the lieutenant, and those would be, thinking off the top of my head, if somebody misses court, for example, that's an internal thing that we would, that's a violation of our rules and regulations, for example.
Is the first category citizen, public generated?
Correct. The citizen complaint, yes.
And solely citizen complaint in that first category?
Yep. And during the citizen complaint, there might be allegations of rules and regulations violations within that citizen complaint category.
Can you, just for those of us who are a bit naive, can you tell us the difference between sustained and not sustained? The definition of those?
Yes, so there are 4 categories that could come out of. Sustained means, yes, they are essentially guilty of what was alleged. Not sustained means that there is no, we can't prove it or disprove it, maybe like a he said, she said type situation. However, those have been really minimized because of our body cameras that are now required. They have been tremendously beneficial and helpful to the next category. So exonerated, that's where the complaint was made. However, our video directly says, no, that's not what happened. Maybe there was a misunderstanding, but we exonerate ourselves. And then unfounded, it wasn't Chris Field that was out there on this one. You had the wrong, it wasn't our department or anything like that. So those are the 4 key categories that would be.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes each of the pages that I've just discussed before the panel. I know Lieutenant Moore, again, went into some discussion before. Was there any follow-up questions, any after-action or discussions that you want to direct either to myself or Lieutenant Moore about our history? I know we talked about CALIA, our values, our personnel. Obviously, Troop 3 is one of our smaller, but that doesn't detract from its significance in our overall mission for our department. But is there any questions as a follow-up to Lieutenant Moore's presentation last month?
Lieutenant Colonel, could you just remind me your numbers? What is your total number between all the different troops? How many officers, sworn officers do you have?
We're at 52 right now.
And does that include the airport, the bridges?
Correct.
And also New Jersey as well?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so 52 total.
We do have additional casual personnel that are not sworn. So security officers, for example, as well as administrative or support staff.
Okay.
So that's not reflected in that 52.
And how many in Troop 3?
We have myself, what is there, 8? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Because 1 is leaving. It was 9. It's going to be 8 because 1 is
The 8?
leaving.
And on any given shift, out of the 8, how many?
3 patrol and myself during the day, and our sergeant is typically at night.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yep.
How often do you have your K-9? Charlie? Is that I know that was a question once before they had asked.
Yeah. They're there. I mean, we have 1 on each rotation, so typically they're there the majority of the time unless they're off sick or off on vacation. Yeah.
The other dynamic is we have recently partnered with Wilmington Police. They are another CLIA accredited agency, so they provide our K-9 training. So depending upon their training, there are certain days that they are required to go up there. So by and large, if somebody, unless they're off sick, they're typically training. They're required to do that twice a month to maintain their compliance with that certification.
And are they trained for both weapons and drugs, or what are they
So
trained
we only have
for?
explosive K-9s. So you mentioned weapons. I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes they will positively alert to a firearm. It's the odor and the composition. It's really incredible, the power of these dogs. So none that are narcotic based though.
And do you share the canines with, or borrow them, lend them to other departments, or other departments utilize them?
Mutual aid, absolutely. Yeah. Especially with security emphasis. Yeah.
That's what the canine search, so if you want to break down, if you're looking at the data, you'll see canine scan as opposed to canine search. Canine scan is when they're out in the lot scanning vehicles. Canine search, that's if another department requests a canine or a mass text goes out, we need a canine for here, and typically, there's a lot of canines, but if one of our officers' canines goes out, that's what that canine search is reflected, like an assist other agency.
And do those canine, are they attached to a specific officer or just, yeah?
That K-9 team, yes, they train together, they're certified together. Yep. Now, there might be times for occasion where, for example, if we have a critical incident or a significant event, for a while, we were handling POTUS when President Biden was in office. We needed those resources to help out at the airport, so you might shift around. So we're pleased that things have kind of just returned a little bit to normal, and we can keep canines available.
Yeah, and then any special event we have, we try to have a canine there first thing to scan the area, whether it's up at the War Memorial, down here at the ferry before any of our special events. We try to get a canine to just search the property, and, you know, for the July 4th fireworks, we'll have a canine go on first. Once the boat comes, everybody offloads, a canine will go on, sweep the vessel before we put anybody on there. So we utilize them all over.
Thanks. Just some questions. I'm sure if there's anyone listening, and those of us that are here may have had opportunities to take the ferry back and forth in each direction. You had mentioned earlier that the civilians, right, they're not certified law enforcement folks that come through and ask you to open your trunk and things of that nature. Of course, without divulging methods and tactics that are sensitive, can you go over briefly what the protocols are if that security person sees something suspicious, or if you encounter a person traveling that doesn't want to open their trunk? How is that handled, just from an educational perspective?
I'll let Lieutenant Lamora discuss the comments, but I just want to say that the customer service interaction is one of the first and most important responsibilities that we have at the ferry. So that interaction, you know, sometimes it does trend to de-escalation. You know, maybe they missed a previous one, maybe their travel plans, but that's where our security officers are trained on that ability to say, listen, this is what we need to do to help you get to where you need to be as quickly and as safely as possible. But as far as the tactics, I'll let Lieutenant Lamora.
Yeah, they'll typically, if that happens, the security officer will let one of the officers know. An officer will try to de-escalate, figure out what's going on. I mean, we have everything from someone whose trunk cannot open. Like, it's, at the very end of the day, it's the officer's discretion. If we feel, based on what we see, that, you know, it could be on the customer's attitude that we think could be an issue if they get on the boat, then you can go get a refund, because we take security first and foremost. And if you're being like this here, we don't know what you're going to be like on there. So, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's officer discretion. If we have a canine, they're going to sweep. Like if it's a trunk can't open, we have a canine on, they're going to sweep the car like they do, and then it's officer's discretion at that point. And I mean, I've seen numerous scenarios where we would let someone on based on our discretion and our interaction and what we find.
Have you had circumstances that devolve into disorderly conduct and necessitating actually?
A few since I've been down here, where someone is just so adamant that, nope, you are not doing that, and we're, you know, this is part of our security protocol, so if you don't want to abide by that, then you're going to have to get a refund and leave. Because
Has it ever resulted, in your experience, into devolving into an actual arrest, taking someone into custody?
not that scenario, not that I'm aware of since I've been down here, no. Yeah, we're de-escalation skills we're pretty good at that.
Good.
And most people know that what we're doing is for the security of everybody on the ferry and themselves, so most people just know that this is, you know, we have to do this.
The other dynamic that is sometimes tough is there's a customer service department that handles that. So we try to make sure that the supervisor is involved and that the communication is there. So police, we're not getting involved in money and that kind of refund.
Right.
So we make sure that they are set up to handle that.
Here's a dumb question. Are you, like the customer service folks, you're all under the umbrella of the DRBA?
Yes.
So you're all in the same chain of command, your colleagues in that regard. So that makes life easier, I suspect.
Yeah. Customer service department, ferry operations has a department, police have the department. So all working together to the same goal.
Anything further, folks?
What's the biggest risk that each of the troops face as far as like patrolling or being out there?
Each of the troops itself, or specific to?
Each of them.
So Troop 1 is highway and is safety. So we just had the huge, the storm. You're making sure people are getting safe as they go through. It's an infrastructure of interstate travel, so you get transients, so you're dealing with communication there. So collisions and the motor vehicle collisions is kind of the main emphasis for Troop 1. Troops 2 and 3 are very similar, Cape May and Lewes, because it's security, it's homeland security, it's MARSEC compliance, it's the transportation sector. And then everything else that we do besides that is your community emphasis. Those are your stakeholders. They're the ones that are traveling on vacation. So that community emphasis is really where that shines, really, those particular troops. And Troop 4 is our newest troop, so that's airports. And we had more assignments going that way, and that is because of the expansion, the tremendous growth of the commercial flight, the only commercial flight service for Delaware going through Avello. So we've had previous air service before there, but Avello has really, really rocketed with, so we have your expansion, so we're dealing with parking lot security that we never really had to deal with before. So that whole customer service and that trend, now there's TSA, so we don't necessarily screen for that, but the site security leading up to that is all DRBA responsibility. So in a nutshell, that's the four troops that, and their key initiatives.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairperson, that will conclude, unless there's any further questions, my report, and thank you for the opportunity again.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to drive down and see us. Mary, any questions from you?
Nope, this was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further, colleagues?
No, I would just make sure Dan has asked Mary.
Yeah. Thank you. Now we need to take a minute or two to move on to discussing, having welcomed DRBA into our PAC, we had the necessity of modifying our bylaws to account for that. I'll start off with just an observation that I would recommend, specifically with regard to Article 4, Section 1. It says the PAC shall consist of, and I would interject two words, at least two persons, because as presently constituted, we have more than two representing either Rehoboth or Lewes, so I think we need to account for that, be my suggestion. And then further on in that sentence, instead of using the word from, I would suggest inserting the phrase representing each. Because again, going back to that the issue that we discussed at our last meeting with regard to having committee members that are literally from a particular jurisdiction, we don't necessarily have that when it comes to DRBA, as we discussed a few moments ago. So my suggestion would be that the first sentence of Section 1 read, the PAC shall consist of at least two persons representing each of the respective jurisdictions. And for myself personally, I don't have any other further comments or suggestion or edits to those that are already contained in the document that we all have in front of us.
So it was our intention to go over these changes with all of you. As you can see in your packets, you have anything that was in blue has been an addition, and the red with the line is the redactions or changes to the bylaws. You can see the majority of the changes are in regards to adding the Delaware River and Bay Authority to the bylaws. So you're not going to see a lot of addition or changes in the function of your bylaws, except as you saw the chairperson point out, the number of representatives will be changing. And the point to that being is that if we kept it at 3 with 3 jurisdictions, we'd have 9 people as a minimum, which is, it's perfectly acceptable, but difficult to maintain, I think. So, reduction to 2 it keeps that at a minimum of 6. The only other change I believe that we have, other than the addition of the Delaware River and Bay Authority, would be some of the language in Article 4, Section 2. Talked about just the changing of the jurisdiction as opposed to residing in the cities. So you can see that change made there. And then, again, we have Article 7, Section 1, just talks about the support staff. That was just split between Rehoboth Beach Police Department and the Lewes Police Department. Now we added the Delaware River and Bay, and to say an equal amount of support staff. Since the something to be discussed, I think, about, I mean, maybe I missed this at the last meeting, where meetings that represent the Delaware River and Bay Authority would be held, as long as they're doing their part to provide support staff equally, then they're doing their job. And that language has been added there. Were there any questions about any of the changes? Anyone else have any additions than what we made? The at least, right, consists of at least 2 persons, and changing from to representing them. Any other recommended changes?
No.
No.
Steve, would you like to add anything? Right. And gentlemen, from Delaware River and Bay, are you good with the changes to the bylaws as the additions?
No objections.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good. So,
We'll make those changes and get them online.
very good. Awesome. Thank you. I assume, to cross our i's and dot our t's, we should actually take a vote on that. So I would make a motion that, as incorporating our discussion, that the proposed additions, deletions, and changes to our bylaws be approved. I'll make a motion. Second?
Second.
Vote? Aye?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
And thank you very, very much, you folks, for helping us put that together. We now can move on to, from each of our respective departments, if there are any reports or information or updates that you'd like to provide to us in terms of recent activities since our last meeting.
Yeah, thank you. I would just say everything's going relatively smoothly here in Rehoboth Beach. We are already starting up trying to hire our summer officers for the upcoming summer season, so that is moving forward. We've already given conditional job offers to many and all, and then again, as we get into the training of that, we'll go ahead and invite you guys to come in if you would like to take parts of certain classes and all that to help out getting the train hours in. But even besides that, it's just nice to look at and get to know some of our officers and see actually how the training is going. Lieutenant Sweet oversees our accreditation for the department, and last week through post, we had an on-site visit. Everything went really well on that, so we see ourselves being accredited in, is it April that are coming through? So we're, thank you, Mark, for all the work you've put in for that. They were very impressed with the things that's going on. And again, gave them a tour, just like each of you had that tour and going over our policies and procedures and things like that. Mark, is there anything you think we need to add that's going on right now? Or?
No, not at the moment. I think it's been the focus of us, getting ready for the summer and our accreditation.
Yeah.
Big focuses that we've been since our last meeting.
Right. I would add, again, I think several of you have gotten back to me on the 19th down Ocean View Police Department that we're going to hold some training. Again, you'll be there a short time or as long as you want to be. For our department, every year we have to go down and have taser training, part of the requirements that we have to do. And we do simulations training and all that, so that'd be a time for you to get onto the machine or whatever, and actually I'll put you through some scenarios if you want to, and if you don't, that's okay. If you just want to sit there and watch and see some things we do, as well as the training that we go through with taser, where we actually have to deploy a shot and all that stuff, so you can see how we do that. So I certainly encourage that. We have 2 dates, and so if anybody can't make one, maybe they can make the other one. If they can't make that, again, you're going to start seeing a lot more training opportunities come out from all 3 of our departments, but we'll certainly keep you appraised. So any questions for what's going on in Rehoboth Beach?
Chief, how many seasonal vacancies do you have, and is the application process found online?
the application process is found online. I do have an officer that's going to be reaching out to you to sit there and come visit your guys. Typically, there got to be 19, but we hire 16 each year. We do have 3 or 4 returning so far that's coming back. And I think we've given conditional job offers to, I think, 7 or 8 so far this year. So the applications are coming in pretty steady, and it's always good to have the opportunity to choose or whatever the ones. Like last year, we had a lot of locals, and we didn't need as much housing. So far this year, the trend seems to be out of state wanting to come in, and which is good. But then we always get into the issue with housing. So that's always, as we've talked before, a big component for ours, trying to help out and finding the locations and when they can get down for the training.
And how many of
Chief,
us? Go ahead, Mary.
my question is, I know that there's been efforts to recruit for full-time positions those folks that have been part of the summer program. What's the level of success been with that type of pipelining?
We've been very fortunate with that. I think our last 4 hires, 3 of the 4 were seasonal police officers for us. And so we're seeing that. And the other great thing that we're seeing is, at least down here in Rehoboth Beach, through the applications, a lot of diversity that we're seeing the applications come in, different backgrounds and nationalities and things. So that's always been a good. Our last 2 officers that we did just hire that came to the academy were both female, and one was a Bethany summer officer, so didn't necessarily work for us. Another one had law enforcement ties through their family. But the majority, we've been very successful with hiring from in-house from our summer officers. So it's a look at them, and sometimes they're with us not just 1 year, 2 or 3 years. So it really works out well for us. But we are thankfully at full staff.
Thank you, Chief.
100%. Thanks, Dan. For Lewes Police Department, we are currently, staffing-wise, 17 out of 18. We've made a pretty concerted effort. Lieutenant Locklear's led the last initiative to identify and hire an 18th. We just haven't been able to yet. We're at the point where we're pretty selective and pretty picky and want to make sure we have the right fit for Lewes, just like Rehoboth does in any other police department. But that's where we stand staffing-wise. Since the last meeting, we had a real large holiday parade in Lewes. Not quite Sea Witch level, but for holiday parades, it's a big one, and it went well. We had 0 incidents, 0 injuries. A couple things to put on the radar. It was just postponed from last week, but January 17th, the State of the City address, it's the first ever for Lewes, is taking place at the Lewes Elementary School on February 17th at 5 p.m. It is a combination of the City of Lewes, President and CEO of BB Healthcare, Superintendent of the Cape Henlopen School District, and the President of the University of Delaware. It's like a forum where they're going to kind of give updates, take questions. Anticipated to be several hundred people attending. It'll be at the Lewes Elementary School Auditorium on the 17th of February, 5 p.m. Pretty sure, I think they put out the new date since it got canceled because of the weather. Actually, tonight, it's supposed to be tonight, and they canceled it because of the ice. But, the snowmageddon, the 2 feet of snow we were supposed to get, scared everybody off, which makes sense. So it'll be next month. I think they're asking for pre-registrations online, so we identify who all is going to be there. Obviously, the police department's going to have a security posture there. And then also, the very next day, February 18th, the City of Lewes Police Department, unfortunately, has accepted a challenge from the Fred Thomas Middle School basketball team to play in a charity game against them. I think that is also at 5 o'clock. We have a flyer that we'll put out, and it's on our Facebook. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun community-oriented thing that we have coming. So we're looking forward to it. we may show up with our tack vests and tasers on just to try to intimidate them before they kick our butt on the court. But that's a good community thing that we always look forward to. And that's all I got. If you have any questions about Lewes.
Thanks, Chief.
Chief, I was just going to ask you, are you looking for ringers?
Well, we have some really big bodies in the police department. I don't know about the skills on the basketball court, but, we should be able to control the post.
Chief, will McGruff the crime dog be playing in that game?
I'm hopeful he'll be in attendance.
Okay.
Maybe for a tip-off or something.
There you go.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief. Good luck.
Yep.
Just a question for both departments. I know this is on a lot of people's minds, and I've seen lots of stuff on Facebook regarding ICE and activities in Lewes and Rehoboth. Can you talk a little bit about what the interactions have been like? And
As far as my perspective, I think this goes for Rehoboth, pretty non-existent. We've had no request in Lewes to support ICE. I get inquiries similar to that from the public. We, and I'm guessing Rehoboth, because we're both Lexipol policy service provider agencies, we have a very comprehensive and robust immigration policy, kind of details things we will and won't do. We're going to offer support to make sure everybody's safe and make sure the community's safe. We're not in the business of enforcing immigration violations. 287G agreements where you'll sign with ICE to do civil immigration. We're not signing them. We're not contemplating signing them. Pretty sure Rehoboth is in the same situation. One agency in Delaware signed one, kind of misguided, and that kind of looped us all into a bad category, but that's a non-existent thing in Lewes and Rehoboth. Yeah, IACP has put out some good guidance that we've passed on to all our staff to make sure they're aware of general, the workings of it all, because it can be pretty complex and confusing for young police officers on the street. But our policy is solid. It's been reviewed by our solicitor, and we're in a good position.
Yeah, in Rehoboth Beach, things I think Tom just stated, nothing that he's doing that we're not doing or whatever. As far as inquiries we've had from ICE, we've had 0. And now we have had some business owners and different reach outs to us, what's our stance and all that. And we sit there and just exactly what Tom just said at his same reply. All right, so we haven't had any issues. At the same time, we don't necessarily think there will be, but I guess you never know. But as Tom said, as a law enforcement agency, excuse me, taking an oath of office, we are going to have to support if they come in and have an active warrant, and that for standby for safety reasons, like we would any other law enforcement agency. And also, but we're not, engaging with them. We haven't signed any contracts that will assist them or anything like that. So we're always going to make sure our amount as our assistant goes basically is just enforcing what the law is and to make sure all parties are safe on both sides. But we've had no issues and nobody's come in and done any action.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Earlier, the DRBA said that all their officers have body cams. Do all the Lewes and Rehoboth officers do as well?
That is correct for Rehoboth Beach. Matter of fact, we're very proud that even before the law went into effect, that we brought in we started up with the body worn cameras and all that. So we did that with our full-time officers, and then when it was mandated for all officers, we went ahead and got them on the summer officers. So all of our officers that are out on patrol at any given time, or even in-house or whatever, will, if they have a uniform on, will have their body camera.
All right, thank you.
Same for Lewes.
Okay. And how about the process if one of your officers pulls somebody over and through the discovery or something, you're suspicious about the person and their status? How is that handled?
We wouldn't. It's not something that we interact with. It's not as somebody who patrolled a couple of months ago, I don't even know where I would start with trying to contact somebody to say, I think this person's, it's not in the thought process It's just, we don't, it's not part of what we do in patrol. The only time it happens is when you fingerprint them to make an arrest, that you'll get a call from somebody saying, hey, we noticed that you just fingerprinted this person, do you still have them in custody? So those alerts may go out somewhere in the state system that is national, but it's not, we don't interact like that. It's not a thing we do on patrol. Like I said, I wouldn't even, and I'm the operations lieutenant who oversees patrol. It's just not part of what we do in patrol.
All right, thank you.
Anything further? Thank you, gentlemen. And Lieutenant Colonel, you guys have already told us a little bit about your business. Is there anything,
Yeah, I do
any
have one-
further updates or things coming up that you think we should know about?
Yeah, I would like the committee to know one additional thing. So as part of our emergency preparedness, we do participate in different preparedness exercises. So our ferry operations have coordinated with an outside vendor to coordinate an active threats exercise. So last year we did it on the Cape May side. It was a tabletop followed by actual full-scale exercise. So this upcoming April, I don't know the exact date yet. I think they're just talking tentative. They're planning a tabletop exercise. So once I'm made aware of that, I'll forward that information out. That might be something that the committee might be interested in. I don't know if it qualifies as training hours or anything like that. I don't want to speculate. Yes? Oh, okay. But at least we'll avail of that opportunity to kind of see from the ferry side. And then once that's confirmed, I can relay that information to our folks.
Sounds very interesting. Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. We'd now like to open the floor for any public comment, but looking out into the audience, I see there's no one here in person. I don't know if there's anyone online. No, and there's nobody online, and there's no members of the public here. So there's no comment to be had.
I was just going to mention, you said earlier, our next meeting is scheduled in Lewes on April 28th. That would be 10 a.m. And also, if anybody has any conflicts, we can discuss that now if we need to, or we can hold off the chairperson's whatever they want to do. And then I guess I would ask the board, while we're putting agendas together for that meeting, is there any certain, to make sure you reach out to the chairperson or vice chair and come up with any topics that you may want us to discuss or be prepared for. There were some things about immigration and all that, so I don't know if that's something you want to see policies or if you want to review, but part of the committee, after getting the bylaws and all that set aside, you guys can look at what you're tasked to do and what you can and should not be doing, but part of it is any review or questions or anything you would like from us. So I would encourage you to let us know that, so we're at least trying to be prepared for what you may want.
Well, thanks, Chief.
I have an interest in learning more about what happens with juveniles, given that we're approaching the summer months and, how the city and DRBA to manage some of those incidents.
I'll make sure we have, the chairperson says go ahead later, put on the agenda, we'll get on there, and if so, we'll make sure we have that'll be one of them, okay? We'll have, Rehoboth Beach be prepared to talk about what we do for juvenile arrest.
Well, I believe that concludes our business today. I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for.
Thank you.
coming out today.
Thank you.